Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, thank you for joining this morning Srimad Bhagavatam class and attentive japa. We'll make a start. We're starting on Canto 4 now. Completed Canto 3. It was quite elaborate about Sankhya Yoga. So we're going on to Canto 4, and it starts with Daksh cursing Lord Shiva. So there's a lot of Lord Shiva's pastimes in this. And very interesting too. He's the greatest Vaishnava. So welcome, and let's make a start. So Vidur inquiring from Maitreya Muni. So Vidur, he got so much nectar knowledge from Maitreya Muni on his travels. They've spoken extensively on so many topics. So he inquired, why was Daksh, who was so affectionate towards his daughter, envious of Lord Shiva, who is the best among the gentle? Why did he neglect his daughter Sati? So Sri Prabhupada explains that in the second chapter of the 4th canto, the cause of the dissension between Lord Shiva and Daksh, which was due to a great sacrifice arranged by Daksh for the pacification of the entire universe, is explained. Lord Shiva is described here as the best of the gentle because he is not envious of anyone. He is equal to all living entities, and all other good qualities are present in his personality. The word Shiva means all auspicious. No one can be enemy of Lord Shiva, for he is so peaceful and renounced that he does not even construct a house for his residence, but lives underneath a tree, always detached from all worldly things. The personality of Lord Shiva symbolizes the best of gentleness. Then why was Daksh, who offered his beloved daughter to such a gentle personality, inimical towards Lord Shiva so intensely that Sati, the daughter of Daksh and wife of Lord Shiva, gave up her body? So we all know the pastimes, and we'll just discuss them. Let's pray. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pankum Lamyate Garim Jat Kirpata Mumande Shri Guru Din Taranam Pramananda Madhavam Shri Chataneshram Hari Om Tassat Narayam Namaskritya Naram Chevan Rotamam Devim Sasvityasam Todo Jayam Udiriyat. Nasta Presha Vidareshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Nestiki. So Vidur saying, my dear Maitreya, to part with one's life is very difficult. Would you kindly explain to me how such a son-in-law and father-in-law could quarrel so bitterly that the great goddess Sati could give up her life? The sage Maitreya said, In a former time, the leaders of the universal creation performed a great sacrifice in which all the great sages, philosophers, demigods, and fire gods assembled with their followers. So he's telling about why there's so much hatred between the two, or at least Shiva does not hate anybody. Daksh, why he hated him. When Daksh, the leader of the Prajapatis, entered the assembly, his personal bodily luster as bright as the effulgence of the sun. The entire assembly was illuminated, and all the assembled personalities became insignificant in his presence. Influenced by his personal body luster, all the fire gods and other participants in that great assembly, with the exceptions of Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, gave up their own seating place and stood in respect of Daksh. So everybody stood up, but Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva did not stand up when Daksh walked into the room. So Daksh was adequately welcomed by the president of the great assembly, which was Lord Brahma. So Brahma did not stand up, but then he welcomed him with words, with sweet words, and offered him respect by his words. By the order of Brahma, properly took his seat. Then Daksh sat down. Before taking his seat, however, Daksh was very offended to see Lord Shiva sitting and not showing him any respect. So Lord Shiva didn't stand up to respect him, and he did not say any sweet words towards him. At that time, Daksh became greatly angry, and his eyes glowing, he began to speak very strongly against Lord Shiva. So he took this as a very big offense. His anger took the better of him. He says, Lord Shiva, being the son-in-law of Daksh, was expected to show his father-in-law respect by standing with the others. But because Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are the principal demigods, so Srila Prabhupada explaining, because they are the principal demigods, their position are greater than Daksh. But Daksh doesn't see that way. He's thinking on the material platform. Daksh could not tolerate this, and he took it as an insult by his son-in-law. So he's thinking, he's my son-in-law, should we give more respect? Previously, also, he was not very much satisfied with Lord Shiva, because Shiva looked very poor and was niggardly in dress. So he already had issues with Lord Shiva, and this was like the last straw, that now he doesn't even give him any respect. And so he's thinking, why am I associated with this person? All sages, Brahmins, and fire gods present, please hear me with attention. Now Daksh is speaking. For I speak about the manners of a gentle person. I don't speak out of ignorance or envy. In speaking against Lord Shiva, Daksh tried to pacify the assembly by presenting in a very tactful way that he was going to speak about the manners of gentle persons. Although naturally this might affect some unmannerly upstarts, and the assembly might be unhappy because they did not want any unmannerly persons to be offended. In other words, he was in complete knowledge that he was speaking against Lord Shiva, in spite of Shiva's spotless character. As far as envy is concerned, from the very beginning, he was envious of Lord Shiva. Therefore, he could not distinguish his own particular envy, although he spoke like a man in ignorance. He wanted to cover his statements by saying that he was not speaking for the impudent and envious reasons. Although he was envious, that's the point. Shiva has spoiled the name and fame of the governors of the universe and has polluted the path of gentle manners. Because he's shameless, he does not know how to act. He has already accepted himself as my subordinate by marrying my daughter in the presence of fire and Brahmins. So he's saying that he's lower than me because he's my son-in-law. I have given him my daughter. So he has accepted that he is lower than me. He has married my daughter who is equal to Gayatri and has pretended to be just like an honest person. He has eyes like a monkey's, yet he has married my daughter, whose eyes are just like those of a deer cub. Nevertheless, he did not stand up to receive me, nor did he think it fit to welcome me with at least some sweet words. So Daksh is very angry. I had no desire to give my daughter to this person. Now the truth is coming out. I had no desire to give my daughter to this person who has broken all rules of civility. Because of not observing the required rules and regulations, he is impure, but I was obliged to hand over my daughter to him just as one teaches the messages of the Vedas to a Shudra. He lives in a filthy place, he's like crematoriums, and his companions are the ghosts and demons, naked like a madman, sometimes laughing, sometimes crying. He smears crematorium ashes all over his body. He does not bathe regularly, and he ornaments his body with a garland of skulls and bones. Therefore, only name is Shiva or auspicious. Actually, he is the most mad and auspicious creature. Thus, he is very dear to crazy beings in the gross mode of ignorance, and he is the leader. So, if you want to insult somebody, then you can just pick on the things that you don't like about them, and you can expand them, magnify them, then make them look really bad. If you like somebody, then you can pick on the good things and magnify them and make them look really good. So it's the tongue. You can use it. You have the option to use it in any way you want, but it can land you a lot of trouble as well. So you have to be very careful. On the request of Lord Brahma, I handed over my chaste daughter to him. Although he is devoid of all cleanliness and his heart is filled with nasty things. So though she's just going on and on, he says, I was never interested to marry my daughter to him. It's because Lord Brahma insisted that I had no choice but to give my wonderful daughter to such a low man. It is the duty of parents to hand over their daughters to suitable persons just befitting their family tradition in cleanliness, gentle behavior, wealth, social position, etc. Daksh was repentant that on the request of Brahma, who was his father, he had handed over his daughter to a person who, according to his calculation, was nasty. Now, Daksh was so angry that he didn't acknowledge that the request was from his father. Instead, he referred to Brahma, or Paramesti, as Paramesti, the supreme teacher in the universe. Because of his temperament of gross anger, he was not even prepared to accept Brahma as his father. In other words, he accused him, Brahma, of being less intelligent because he had advised Daksh to hand over his beautiful daughter to such a nasty fellow. So he's putting the blame on his father now, Lord Brahma, that it's all his fault that he made me do this. I was never interested in this relationship. In anger, one forgets everything. And thus Daksh, in anger, not only accused the great Lord Shiva, but criticized his own father, Lord Brahma, for his not very stout advice that Daksh hand over his daughter to Lord Shiva. So everybody's smart after the event. Now he's saying it's all his fault, that had we not done this, then we would not see this day today, all these issues we're having. The sage Maitreya continued. Thus Daksh, seeing Lord Shiva sitting as if against him, washed his hands and mouth and cursed him in the following words. So he's so angry, after even insulting him so much, now he wants to curse him. He's going to that extent. He's like totally buddhi nasht. He's totally bewildered, as mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, that now he has totally lost his sanity in his anger. The demigods are eligible to share. This is his curse now. The demigods are eligible to share in the oblations of sacrifice, but Lord Shiva, who is the lowest of all the demigods, should not have a share. So because of this curse, Shiva was deprived of his share in the oblations of Vedic sacrifices. It was due to the curse of Daksh. And Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti comments in this connection that Lord Shiva was saved from the calamity of taking part with other demigods who were actually, so this is all the Supreme Personality Godhead's arrangement. Shri Prabhupada or Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti mentions that actually it was better that Lord Shiva was actually saved from the calamity of taking part with the other demigods who were all materialistic. Lord Shiva is the greatest devotee of the Supreme Personality Godhead, and it is not befitting for him to eat and sit with materialist persons like the demigods. So although we see Shiva as one of the demigods, but it's mentioned here that actually he's the Devankadev. He's much higher than any demigod because he's completely renounced, whereas the demigods are described as materialistic. There is a practical example set for us by Gorakishore Das Babaji Maharaj, who used to sit on the side of a latrine or the toilet to chant Hare Krishna. Many materialistic persons used to come and bother him and disturb his daily routine of chanting. So to avoid their company, he used to sit by the side of a latrine where materialistic persons would not go because of the filth and the obnoxious smell. However, Gorakishora Das Babaji Maharaj was so great that he was accepted as the spiritual master of such a great personality as his Divine Grace Om Vishnupad Shri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he would not have, if Gorakishora Babaji was not so great, there's no way, first of all, that Bhaktivinoda Thakur would have accepted him as his disciple, initiate him, and he would not have asked his son to take initiation from him either. So the conclusion is that the Lord Shiva behaved in his own way to avoid materialistic persons who might disturb him in his prosecution of devotional service. So that was the arrangement from the spiritual point of view. So Maitri continued, my dear Vidur, in spite of the requests of all the members of the sacrificial assembly, Daksh, in great anger, cursed Lord Shiva and then left the assembly and went back to his home. So anger is so detrimental that even a great person like Daksh, out of anger, left the arena where Brahma was presiding and all the great sages and pious and saintly persons were assembled. So it's an insult to them. If you are surrounded by such exalted people and you just walk out, then you're actually insulting them as well, that you don't really care for their association. All of them requested him not to leave, so you don't care for their advice either. But infuriated, he left, thinking that the auspicious place was not fit for him. Puffed up by his exalted position, he thought that no one was greater than he in argument. It appears that all the members of the assembly, including Lord Brahma, requested him not to be angry and leave their company. But in spite of all these requests, he left. That is the effect of cruel anger. In Bhagavad Gita, therefore, it is advised that one who desires to make tangible advancement in spiritual consciousness must avoid three things: lust, anger, and the mode of passion. We do usually call it lust, anger, and greed. It says here lust, anger, and mode of passion, same thing. Actually, we can see that lust, anger, and passion make a man crazy, even though he be a great as Daksh. The very name Daksh suggests that he was an expert in all material activities. But still, because of his aversion towards such a saintly personality as Shiva, he was attacked by these three enemies: anger, lust, and passion. Lord Chaitanya therefore advised that one be very careful not to offend Vaishnavas. He compared offenses towards a Vaishnava to a mad elephant. As a mad elephant can't do anything horrible, So when a person offends a Vaishnava, he can perform any abominable action. So upon understanding that Lord Shiva had been cursed, now Nandishvara, one of Lord Shiva's principal associates, we just normally call him Nandi. So he's one of the Lord's principal associates, became greatly angry. His eyes became red, and he prepared to curse Daksh and all the Brahmins present, they who had tolerated Daksh's cursing Shiva in his harsh words. So there's a long-standing dissension among some of the neophyte Vaishnavas and Shaivites. They are always at loggerheads. When Daksh cursed Lord Shiva in harsh words, some of the Brahmins present might have enjoyed it because some Brahmins don't very much admire Lord Shiva. This is due to the ignorance of Lord Shiva's position. Nandishvara was affected by the cursing, but he did not follow the example of Lord Shiva, who was also present there. Although Lord Shiva could have also cursed Daksh in a similar way, he was silent and tolerant. But Nandishvara, his follower, was not tolerant. Of course, as a follower, it was right for him not to tolerate insult to his master, but he should not have cursed the Brahmins who were present. The entire issue was so complicated that those who were not strong enough forgot their positions, and those cursing and counter cursing went on in that great assembly. In other words, the material field is so unsteady that even the personalities like Nandishvara, Daksh, and many of the Brahmins present were infected by the atmosphere of anger. So this is explains why there's three gateways to hell, which is anger, lust, and greed. These are the root causes of the gateways to hell. These are root causes of the problems, and this is where they stem from, either through anger or through some kind of greed or through some kind of attachment or lust to things. And there is no limit. That's the point. There is no limit. These things are seen as so obnoxious because there is no limit to what you can do in that position. If you are in the state of anger, greed, lust, there is no limit how far you will go to achieve your goal. So very dangerous situation. And it mentions that even the exalted people, if they get in the state, then it's only hell breaks loose and hell's doors open for these people. They are hellish planets for people with this disposition. And these people are sent, or at least we are sent to these planets, hellish planets, where we can be there until we can straighten our vision of life and have more control over ourselves. So thank you all so much for joining. My father-in-law ji, Jai Prabhu, we're missing your summaries, Prabhu, and Madhav Shyam Sundar, Partha Prabhu, Parveen Mataji, Prem Prakash Prabhu, Sarvashriya Mataji. I think there was somebody else on there. Because I think there's one more person, but anyway, welcome. So thank you so much. And just want to quickly get some feedback from you all. Madhav Shamsundar Prabhu, you want to add anything?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
How are you?
Prabhu, fine. Looking forward to 24-hour Kirtan tomorrow. Already.
Yeah. Nice class, Prabhuji, yeah. But I want to add anything. All I can say, very nice class. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Thank you, Prabhu. I'm going to go to Prem Prakash Prabhu before he puts on listen only. I want to catch him today. Sorry, Prabhu. Would you like to add something, Prabhu? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guruji. So, yeah, I mean, there is not much, there's a lot of philosophy from one sense, but at one point, there's not much to contribute because it's obviously the position of Vaishnavas are respected, like Lord Shiva, and in the present situation as well. Many will not understand the position of Lord Shiva, and the curses, counter curses, I mean, in today's age, like arguments, counter arguments, insults and counter insults keeps on going for Lord Shiva and Hindu Dharma and demigod gods basically. So we are proceeding. It's a mode of ignorance. That's what we are proceeding towards, and it's like envy and mode of ignorance. And you rightly said that verse, like Krodhat Bhakti Samoha Bhakti. That verse. Krodhat Bhakti Samoha Smriti. So, I'm forgot. Sorry, I normally remember this, but I really forgot. Smriti Bhamshat Buddhi Nasham Snachiti. So basically, that's a example. That's a exemplar. That is what is actually shown over here. Is that, I mean, to avoid anger, and how much can we avoid anger? I mean, we are. It's not in our control at the moment. We can reduce it, but over the period, it keeps on appearing and reappearing. So that's a lesson. But then also there's a lesson is that for the Brahmanas, however angry we are, we should not actually take actions and leave it for the Lord to decide, even if they are wrong. We can decide to leave the assembly or something like that, but because of that action and counteraction, the curses in which Brahmanas were also put into a wrong place. I mean, they were cursed that if I think is it going to come in the next lecture probably what curses were there, because they were curses which were very severe for the Brahmanas, and then curses for the devotees of Lord Shiva as well.
Yeah, I'm sure that will come, Prabhu. Our next stage will be Nandishwara cursing, and then I'm sure they will explain that he shouldn't have cursed the Brahmins more detail.
Those curses were, I mean, really horrendous. I mean, but in that Bhrigu Muni was curses were, I mean, curses were, and they were counter curses. So that upset lot many order. It might be a will of Krishna that the things happened, but it was not very pleasant. But there is a lessons to avoid anger, and even if angry against Brahmanas, then one should not take action rather than leave it to the Lord, because Brahmanas still, they can be wrong. I mean, there's no denial that they might be themselves deluded. It's been said in the Kali Yuga that in the different planets, for the different planets, when the demons were there, so they were given benediction, or they were allowed to take birth in a Brahmana's family. So they might actually, from inside, there might be demons in a Brahmana's body, but because they have Brahmana's body, we still should not actually take actions or try to avoid those kind of association. So that's something which is a important learning for us. But we tend to actually, we go to dhams and we see that the Brahmanas or the Pandas or the local, they will try to extract money, and then naturally, if them something is unpleasing, then something comes out of mouth. The thought process goes against. But we really need to understand how to control this urge to say something bad about someone, and this is a best learning we can get from. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Very good points, Prabhu. You made, yeah, absolutely. I think we still have to be in control, whatever the situation. I think we should follow the Shastras thoroughly, because our position, there's cursing and counter cursing going on. So, if somebody's saying bad things to you and you're returning bad things to them, then what is the difference between the two? Then there is no difference, because one is bad as you're bad as each other. So we have to have etiquette and understanding, and the scriptures tell us that what the etiquettes are. As you mentioned, that we don't say anything wrong to the Vaishnavas to the Brahmins, and Vrindavan residents. When sometimes you go to Vrindavan, you might get into an argument with the Vasi there. Sometimes they can provoke you into an argument. I had a situation in the shopkeeper. Sometimes they think that they can do whatever they like, but it's wrong. And I think I might have been forgiven because it was early days. But I try and just clasp your hands, fine, you're right and I'm wrong. It's okay, just leave it at that. And Krishna watches. Krishna says that if there's anything, you let me deal with it, isn't it? End of the day, you let him deal. You keep your etiquettes, and you see in front of your eyes that Krishna, he knows what to do with who, how to use their karma to their benefit. If somebody is tangling with you, maybe it's his karma and your karma is having issues. But Krishna knows how to use your karma and how to use their karma in your benefit. We don't. We can misuse it, and we create more karma. This is a problem. Our karma might cause problems sometimes. We get into issues, but then we misuse it, and then we create more entanglement for ourselves by misusing, by saying wrong things. Then we create more karma for next time. So we have to be very careful how we use our with our behavior and the character and our tongue, how we use it. Very difficult, but very important to be at least conscious of it. So thank you so much, Prabhu. Partha Prabhu, Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Prabhuji.
Hari Bol.
A few points I noted from this class. One is, however, one try, but envious, even though you try to cover it, but you can't cover it. It will come out in one way or the other. That is one thing. And when you want to insult somebody, also you will have reasons. When you want to praise, also you'll have reasons. So it is how you want to see them. That's it. I mean, it's how you want to control yourself. And in anger, we always tend to look for the mistakes in other people, but we don't introspect in ourselves. That is one thing.
Yes.
Like, and Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. So normally we say where there's a will, there is a way, but the Maharaj has showed like where there's a devotion, there is a way. So that's one thing. And tolerance, like a person with true knowledge and conviction on his faith towards the Lord, they can tolerate. I mean, I was reading to Bharat Maharaj past time yesterday. So he tolerated his brothers and the insults being done towards him. They were even giving him a food which is actually given to the dogs like that. So, but he has that knowledge from his previous life. That's why he did not get provoked or he did not react to his brother's statements. He just tolerated it because he has that knowledge. And as a 1+1 offer, we have anger, then greed, then lust, and rebirth in the hellish planet. So once you control this, then only we can come out of this situation. And one good point I felt, which like even Daksha is arrogant here, but he listened to Brahma and got his daughter married to Lord Shiva. So I think in one way he's good that at least he listened to his father that time and he got his daughter married to Lord Shiva. But again, Daksha will come in Canto 6 again, where he curses Narada again. So there Prabhupada mentioned that, see, the nature will be like that. So it will not go away. The one's nature will remain forever. That is one point, Prabhupada. That's all.
Thank you. Yeah, wonderful point, Prabhu. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. It's like Indra. His nature like that. One minute he is calling Krishna God, and then another minute you'll fight with him over some tree, flowers, and other issues. He's just fighting over why I'm not getting praise from the Vrindavan Vasis, why they are praying to Govardhan instead, and then he apologizing, then he's back again. This is actually just to show you that whether it's us or demigods, we are in the material world and we get deluded. Basically, that's we get into delusion, and then we forget everything. We forget reality. Daksh, when he married his daughter to Shiva, I'm sure he saw all his good points. He was thinking about all his good points, but now that he's angry, he can't see any good points. Now he can only see the bad points. It's so easy, isn't it? Such a thin line. By what state of mind you're in, you just see either you're happy, you start seeing good things about a person. You're sad or angry, you see bad things about the person, and suddenly the person is the worst in the world. Or when you remember the good things in a good state, good mood, then you think, wow, what a great person this is. Yeah, it's so easy, Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you for highlighting.
So we have a proverb. We have a proverb in our language, which translates as like, when you have friendship, you can ignore even a big mistake, but we don't have the friendship, even a small thing also will appear a bigger thing, and that's all.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, I remember asking my mom once about somebody. I said, how should we deal with these people with who have some bad habits or some flaws that you don't like? And my mother explained to me that you weigh out, do they have more flaws or good points? If they have more good points than flaws, then you accept them, because everybody's going to have flaws. We are not, none of us are perfect. We all have issues. Sometimes we just concentrate on the flaws and we ignore the bad points. And I just took that to heart, what she told me, that you weigh it up. Like if they have more good points than bad, then you keep them as your friends. If they have more bad points than good, then you reject them. Thank you, Prabhu. Anji. Parveen Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam to everyone. And thank you for sharing your mom's wisdom. So very good and very nice points made by everybody. And yeah, to me as well, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, we have to learn how associating with material people, we cannot progress. And Lord Shiva, being the top Vaishnava, he was protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he showed the qualities that a Vaishnava should have. He was tolerant. And then you said about lust, anger, and greed. These are the gateways to hell. So Daksha's desired to be praised is what caused the anger. So we have to protect ourselves. And the way I see, if anything happens, if anything somebody says, so I used to react, but now I stop and say, what's Krishna trying to tell me? What's Krishna trying to teach me? And when you think that way, and you think it is their perception, I'm not going to fall to their standard, and you stay peaceful. So yeah, thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Absolutely. Very good point, Mataji. Yeah, absolutely.
Very
well. Yeah, it's so easy to react, so easy. And when we're in a bad, when we are angry, then your mindset is totally different. When you calm down, you're thinking so different. We can actually test that. I'm sure we all have tested it. If you want, even on a WhatsApp message, somebody sends you, your heart's going, you quickly want to reply, and you do some stupid reply. But when you're calm, you think, oh, well, actually, I could have written it this way or this way, and then not expand the issue so much. I could answer nicely. Just give yourself time to calm down. So anger, very dangerous, and to react quickly is also very dangerous as well. We need to calm down and get in a different mental state. Then you're thinking so different. This is the thing. This is the lesson for us, that like Daksh, he reacted straight away. Soon he hadn't even sat down. He was just so angry. He totally lost his mind. And he just said whatever comes to his head, because he did not give himself a chance to think about it, the way of the situation. And he was envious, as I think Prem Prakash Prabhu mentioned, that he was envious of Shiva in back of his mind anyway. And then he was angry that, so he really does think he's better than me or something. Then you want to teach him a lesson that, who you think you are? You better than me? I'll show you all your negative points. I will push them, how bad you are, by highlighting all your negative things, or at least how they perceived by the material world as being negative. So thank you, Mataji. Sureshi Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna.
Well, Daksha was made head of the Prajapatis, and he developed a false ego. That is, nobody greater than him. He is the greatest. Even he didn't recognize that the Vaishnavas are greater than even the Brahmanas. And because of false ego, he wanted everybody to respect him. He forgot the position of Lord Shiva, who is Lord Shiva is. Lord Shiva is the proposed Vaishnava. And he's one of the Gun avatar of Krishna, and goodness, passion, and ignorance. Is only his quality, his job is mouth of ignorance, but he's not ignorant person. He's a Vaishnava, and he's almost, they say he's almost like Krishna, not Krishna. Almost means just like sometimes you have a son, very same quality, nice quality as the father. So, oh, he's just like his father, but he can't be father. So Lord Shiva is like that. And Prabhupada always gives the example of milk and yogurt. Like it's a product of milk is the yogurt, but it can't say yogurt is milk. Same is Lord Shiva and Lord Krishna. And people have, so a lot of people have confusion about Lord Shiva. I mean, in Kashi Vishwanath temple, he always meditate, and he always, they say he meditates on Sankarshna all the time, because he's a part and parcel of Sankarshna, so he will meditate. And they say if you leave your body in Kashi, you can go to the spiritual world because of Lord Shiva. But they forget it's not Lord Shiva, it's the Maha Mantra he chops all throughout Kashi. That because people hear the Maha Mantra, they go to the spiritual world. And it you should, our first offense is never blaspheme the devotees, the Vaishnavas. And that's what Prajapati, Daksha, he tried to do, because he was too much puffed up with his position, that he didn't realize who Lord Shiva, and he'll blaspheme him, and then he'll get the result afterwards, which we'll have in our later reading. So it shouldn't have false ego. That's the main thing. When people that forget everything, they get bewildered. They don't know what is wrong, what is right. So we have to very, very important to control our false ego. And from false ego, everything develops anger and everything, and envy and everything. So that's what I think he had, because of his position, he couldn't recognize, who he was bewildered. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mati. Thank you so much. Absolutely right. Absolutely. Yes, we should recognize at least Shiva's position, and Shiva, we don't accept him as God himself, but he's not too far away from God. And we worship Krishna, Supreme Personality, Godhead, and but we respect all the demigods, especially Lord Shiva, because he's also the greatest Vaishnava. We try to Vaishnava, he's already the greatest Vaishnava. Thank you so much. And the difference between demigods and God is that demigods we respect, but God we love. That is the difference. We don't love the demigods, we just respect them, but Krishna we can love. That's what our transcendental goal is. Thank you so much. Mataji, would you like to, Sureshi Mataji, do the first round, and hopefully Premi Mataji can do second round. Hare Krishna.
Namaste.